If you remember this, of course you do, we all do, don't we? It was, of course, well, one of those pivotal moments, you might say, so far of 2024, particularly in the, well, cycle of stories that come from the, well, Montecito mansion that is Harry and Meghan. Yes, we're talking, of course, about the infamous pots of jam. And apparently we're one of the lucky ones, if you were 1 to 50, and going to be receiving a pot of jam that Meghan apparently had crushed the entire fruit herself, bottled it, put the label on, and then sent it with some lemons and a bit of straw round. Apparently, as ever, something of a hoax. Let me explain. Morning, good to see you. Thank you so much as ever for your time. I know it's a funny thing, isn't it, when you think about it, because, you know, cast your mind back a little bit. And this was going to be this big thing, wasn't it? You know, this was the new launch, a new entrepreneurial Meghan. And then, as we all know, she fell apart quite quickly, even with the Instagram followers. And I'm not, you know, saying, oh, that's, you know, in a nasty way. But really, I think that she was told that whatever she put out, you know, was just going to be, well, huge, you know, a little bit like, say, the Trini makeup range or something like that. You know, suddenly her fan base would just go through the roof thinking, wow, you know, the diva's back, you know, Norma Desmond's returned, all that sort of stuff. And it didn't quite work out like that. Now, what's fascinating also, which I've managed to uncover, is simply this, that when she popped up at this particular event, do you remember, up at the Hamptons? And it was a strange event, really, because it was all about entrepreneurs and people like that, and suddenly they were going to be wanting to work with her. And in normal sort of circumstances, as we've seen previously, if you have an attachment to the British monarchy, book publishers come to you, deals are offered, all of that sort of stuff. You only have to look at the success, say, of the books of James Middleton or, you know, Tom Parker Bowles, stuff like that. It's basically, you know, if you do it well, then yes, you're going to have some success. But Meghan clearly just sort of rocked up. Now, the reason behind why people like Reese Witherspoon and Gwyneth Paltrow and the rest of those entrepreneurs were keeping a very wide berth over from Meghan at the Hamptons was simply this, that he'd been put about by the people that she was going to be arriving. This was going to rock the entire sort of conference foundation. And as ever, allegedly, Meghan was going to leave a superstar. And not only that, but people would want to come and work for her. Predominantly, according to a source, she went there to try and find a CEO for the ailing brand of American Riviera Orchard. And as we saw, you know, she tried her very best. And as I told you the other day, when they seemed reluctant to get pictured alongside her, particularly clutching pots of jam, they saw and sniffed an opportunistic moment whenever there was one. And this is now basically the problem for Meghan. But guess what? Her team apparently are now trying to spin this, and you'll read about this in the next few days, no doubt, all about how the jam really was just a distraction, something of a hoax, to test the media, to see how much they fell for this particular story. Meghan apparently never had any, you know, sort of idea to become a jam maker or indeed go down that particular product line, but just really wanted to see how she could play the media at her own game. Now, if you believe that story, of course, that's very commendable. But the bottom line is you don't go to all that effort making a video with soft music, soft focus background, and starts to send out pots of jam to your friends. And also, let's just be very clear about this. If it was just a hoax and it wasn't true and you're just testing out the media landscape, where does that leave the friendships of the people that then predominantly you must have told them that went online and said, this is terrific, a wonderful way to start the day, can't wait for more, Meghan strikes gold, all this sort of stuff. Where does it leave them? As ever, confusing lines from the communication office of Meghan Markle and Montecito, but more importantly, very dangerous too. Do you agree? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.